The Dallas Cowboys defense could soon be welcoming back one of its most dynamic young playmakers. LB DeMarvion Overshown, who tore his ACL during the 2024 season, is reportedly nearing the opening of his 21-day practice window in the next 1 to 2 weeks. The third-year linebacker out of Texas was expected to be a versatile weapon for DC Matt Eberflus, and his absence has been felt deeply through the first stretch of the season. Dallas has struggled to find consistency in the second level of its defense, and Overshown's potential return couldn't come at a better time. His speed, instincts, and ability to impact multiple phases of the game could be exactly what the Cowboys need to get back on track defensively. Understanding the 21-day window. When a player is designated to return from injured reserve, NFL teams have a 21-day window to evaluate him in practice before activating him to the 53-man roster. During that time, the player can practice in full, giving coaches and medical staff a chance to assess his readiness without immediately using a roster spot. For Overshown, the Cowboys are expected to open that window sometime within the next 2 weeks. If that happens next week, he could theoretically return as early as Week 9 against the Arizona Cardinals. However, with a bye week following in Week 10, Dallas may prefer to take a more cautious approach. That would make Week 11 at the Las Vegas Raiders or Week 12 at home against the Philadelphia Eagles the more realistic targets for his official comeback. This timeline gives Overshown valuable time to ramp up physically while familiarizing himself with Eberflus' defensive scheme with actual on-the-field reps. The Cowboys have learned the hard way in recent years that rushing players back from significant injuries often leads to setbacks. With a long stretch of important NFC matchups looming after the bye, having Overshown fully ready for that slate would be ideal. The missing piece. The Cowboys' defense has shown flashes of competency this season, but one glaring weakness has been the lack of athleticism and range in the linebacker group. That's precisely what Overshown brings to the table. His college tape at Texas showed a rare blend of speed, tackling ability, and coverage instincts, traits that translated perfectly into the breakout season he was injured in the middle of last season. Dallas has especially struggled against mobile quarterbacks and pass-catching running backs. Without a true spy linebacker, the defense has been vulnerable to extended plays and checkdowns that move the chains. Overshown's ability to track quarterbacks laterally and close space in a hurry gives the Cowboys a much-needed counter to that issue. Additionally, Overshown adds value as a pass rusher. His burst and length allow him to blitz effectively off the edge or through interior gaps, creating disruption that complements the defensive line. His presence could also allow Eberflus to get more creative with personnel groupings, disguising pressures and coverages that have become predictable without him. Simply put, Overshown's return has the potential to change the dynamic of the Cowboys' defense. If he can regain his pre-injury form, Dallas could finally have the missing piece that ties together its front and secondary, a versatile linebacker capable of impacting every down. The Dallas Cowboys have had one of the more confusing starts to the season across the NFL in 2025. With a 2-3-1 record, the Cowboys have been one of the better teams on offense in the league, but they cannot stop anyone from scoring on defense. That has led to many folks pointing the finger at defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus, with team owner Jerry Jones recently weighing in on the situation. After a disastrous stint with the Chicago Bears as their head coach, Eberflus was hired to be the Cowboys' defensive coordinator over the offseason, but so far, he hasn't been able to get much out of his unit. Despite that, Jones isn't ready to give up on Eberflus just yet, as he said it's too early to make such a big decision. Jerry Jones addresses Matt Eberflus' future with Cowboys. The defense that Eberflus inherited and the one he is currently coaching are two completely different groups. Right before the start of the season, Jones traded away Eberflus' best player, superstar linebacker Micah Parsons, after he could not come to terms on a contract extension with him. That has made things increasingly different for Eberflus when it comes to mapping out his game plan. Injuries also haven't been particularly kind to the Cowboys, as they have constantly been without several defensive starters on a weekly basis. Without a star pass rusher like Parsons leading the way, that has placed more pressure on a secondary that has been forced to play without both Trayvon Diggs and Darren Bland at times throughout the first 6 games of the season. In a way, it's tough to pin much of the blame on Eberflus, considering the hand he's been dealt, but he's had no answers for Dallas' defensive struggles to this point. Calls for him to get fired are only growing, but Jones made it clear that it's still way too early in the season for him to move on from Eberflus. "We're just through 6 games here. We're really ahead of ourselves," Jones said when discussing Eberflus' future. "Eberflus has been here for 7 years before he got here, so we know him. The other thing is that when he wasn't with us, he had the kind of experience that I like to take advantage of. He's been a head coach and a coordinator with varying degrees of success. When you got somebody with that much background and that much to look at, then you want to really be looking for the good things they do." Should the Cowboys fire Matt Eberflus? While Eberflus has a track record of being one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, it's fair to wonder whether or not he's still deserving of that billing. Eberflus' stint with the Bears was a disaster, and his second stint with the Cowboys hasn't gotten off to a much better start. Again, he hasn't been dealt a fantastic hand at either spot, but Dallas needs something to feel good about on the defensive side of the ball. Jones is right in saying that it's too early to fire Eberflus, because chances are they won't be able to find a proper replacement for him at this stage of the game. If Eberflus can't turn things around at any point in the season, then maybe the team has to move in a different direction over the offseason. For now, though, Eberflus will be looking to get his defense going in Week 7 when they take on the Washington Commanders. Cowboys face running back dilemma. With the NFL trade deadline approaching, the Dallas Cowboys find themselves in a precarious situation regarding their running back depth. Once considered a position of strength, injuries have turned it into a pressing concern. The urgency for a solution has led analysts to suggest a potential trade for Miami Dolphins running back Jalen Wright. Injuries strikes the Cowboys' backfield. At the start of the season, the Cowboys boasted a dynamic duo in their backfield. Javonte Williams emerged as a breakout star, while Miles Sanders provided a solid secondary option. However, the landscape changed dramatically when Sanders was placed on season-ending injured reserve due to a knee and ankle injury. This was a significant setback for Dallas, as Sanders had demonstrated his capabilities with 117 rushing yards on 20 carries, boasting an impressive average of 5.8 yards per touch. The Cowboys had hoped that rookie Jalen Blue would seize the opportunity in Sanders' absence. Unfortunately, Blue's performance has been lackluster, managing only 7 yards on 7 attempts over the last 2 games. This has raised alarms within the organization, highlighting the need for a more reliable backup. The case for Jalen Wright. In light of these developments, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has suggested that the Cowboys should pursue a trade for Jalen Wright. Wright, a 4th-round pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, had a standout career at the University of Tennessee and was on Dallas's radar during the draft process. However, he landed with the Dolphins, who chose him with the 120th overall pick. Despite his potential, Wright has struggled to find his footing in Miami's offense, and his rookie season saw him accumulate just 249 rushing yards. The Dolphins' current struggles could work to the advantage of the Cowboys, providing them with an opportunity to acquire a player who could fill the void left by Sanders. Transitioning to Miami's uncertainty. As the Dolphins navigate their own challenges, they may be open to trading Wright, especially if he remains sidelined without a defined role in their game plan. The Cowboys could benefit from such a move, as they seek a dependable second option to complement Williams. With a trade deadline drawing near, the pressure is mounting for Dallas to make a decisive move. The addition of Jalen Wright could not only bolster their backfield, but also provide the necessary depth to navigate the rigors of the NFL season. As the Cowboys weigh their options, the clock is ticking, and the stakes have never been higher.